Hi, good morning, everyone. We're going to get started. Thank you all for joining us this morning for the VAWA against women, the Violence Against Women Act grant program, training assistance, technical assistance training. I'm Jenny Barron, the VAWA administrator, and we also have on the call Beth Flynn, who is the Justice and Prevention Division Manager, and Steve Dommings, who is the Budget Director. I'm going to shut my camera off to start the program. If you could all put your name and organization in the chat. We're going to be recording this session, and if anyone has an issue with that, please just let me know in the chat. And I'd like to remind everyone just to mute themselves. And if there are any questions throughout the session, please just put them in the chat and then we'll get to them at the end of the training. So let's begin. Okay. Okay, so here's our agenda for this morning. As I said, we're going to do welcome and introductions, and that's going to be through the chat. We're going to go over the grant overview. We'll go over quarterly reporting and reimbursement policies, financial report review, grant award modification request, FAQs, a federal subgrantee report. We'll go over site visits, and then at the end, we'll have it open to questions.
Jenny, before
so this is the Stop VAWA grant. The Service Training Officers in Prosecution Violence Against Women Formula Grant was established in 1994. It's a fabulous program. We do a ton of great work for survivors. I think it's one of the best programs in our agency, and I'm honored to run the program. This is going to be a four-year program from 22 to 25. It's a multi-year grant. So each year we'll have a application process, not as intense as this year, but each year you'll be notified and we'll be filling out applications again for each year funding. So, and we can go over that, if there's questions on that, but it's basically just exactly what you did with the applications when you applied for this grant. And then we'll do that every year, and it won't be a competitive process. You will automatically get the funding. I'm just not sure of award amounts and so on and so forth. It depends on what we're awarded. So this year we had a huge an outcome of funding requests. We got 44 applications totaling 5.7 million. Unfortunately, we were awarded 2.7 million, so we did have to do some cutbacks on awarding everyone. But in total, we awarded 43 projects. 35 of you are former Stop VAWA grant recipients, and we have 8 new projects, which I'm excited to work with you all. The projects are broken down by category. We have 1 court, 6 prosecution, 12 law enforcement agencies, and 24 victim services. So for those of you who have contracts, your start date is the date that our executive director, Kevin Stanton, signed the contract. And you should have received an email from me with that date and a copy of your contract. If you haven't, please let me know and I'll get that to you as soon as possible. For our state agencies who have ISAs, they may not obligate or begin performances until their ISA is signed, but it also has to be loaded into the MARS reimbursable grant budget and central expense. And you should have received an email with a start date from our fiscal specialist, Jennifer Keating. And if you haven't received that, if you could please let us know, we'll get that out to you. All expenses must be obligated between your start date and December 31st of 2023. So this week I'll be sending you all out your financial reporting forms. I should have them to you by the end of the week. If you could please review these financial reporting forms and make sure your budgets are entered in correctly. If there is any discrepancies, if you could please just let me know, we'll make a change and you can, start using them. These forms are going to be locked, so we have to make the changes in order for any corrections to be made. We have a programmatic report, which is due twice a year. One on July 15th, which is the mid-year report, and then our final report is due in January. It's new this year. It's going to be an online form to submit the programmatic reports, and I'll be sending you out a link probably within the next couple of weeks to get these forms to you. Okay, so here's our reporting schedule. We're in our first quarter reporting timeline. The first quarter reports are due by April 15th. If you can get them in before then, that's great. If you need a little more time, please let me know, and we can work with you. And then we move forward to the second, third, and fourth. This entire schedule will be included in all the paperwork that you receive from me this week. So if you could just keep this around somewhere. So the reimbursement process for the non-state agencies, once we received a report, we'll review it and approve it. If we have to come back with questions, we'll do that. And your payment should take about 45 business days for you to receive, as long as everything moves slowly and, correctly, and there's no issues. The state agencies, it's a little different. Once we approve the quarterly financial reports, our fiscal team will process, and funds will be uploaded. All quarterly financial reports with ISAs must include the Commonwealth Information Warehouse query and a separate LCM query for match expenditures. Only the final report must include a labor cost management query. So when you're submitting quarterly reports, at the end of each quarter, you'll open up your workbook and input the cash and match expenditures for that quarter. Save all your backup documentation that's needed, including invoices, receipts, etc. Sign the Excel Q1 budget summary tab, and you'll save the workbook, and it will be emailed directly to me, hopefully before the 15th, but no later than 15 days after the quarter ends. And the programmatic report, you, as I said, will be receiving a link in a couple of weeks, and that report's due no later than the 15th of July or the 15th of January. But the earlier the better you get these reports into me, just because they do take time to review. So the earlier the better on everything. Okay, those of you who are required to submit match, that would be everybody categorized besides the victim service organizations. You're required to submit at least 25% of the total match award in the match expenditures. If you subgrantees must submit the match total as approved in your approved budget, even if you go over 25%. So just please keep that in mind. And as I said, this for the signature policy, I know this is a lot of information to look at, but once I send out your financial reports, I'll be sending out a document with all of this information in it, as I said earlier, kind of like a cheat sheet. So just don't panic about anything. Our signature policy has changed. It's a little easier now. We're accepting wet signatures. We're accepting electronic signatures, either hand-drawn using the mouse or finger if working with a touchscreen device. And then we also accept an uploaded picture of the signatory's hand-drawn signature or an electric signature affixed using a digital tool such as Adobe Sign or DocuSign. But again, this information is all going to be printed out for you. So when you get to this point, you can go back and look, and you can always contact me and we can go over it as well. Here's just a a slide on signing the Excel spreadsheet. This is new to me, so the scribble technique, so which I think is great. It's a lot easier now because we can submit everything electronically. So when completing your financial report portion of the reporting form, be sure that to only include the approved expenditures from your OGR approved budget. Your agency's approved budget and contract ISA start date will already be entered into the form. And if there's any issue, as I said earlier, with the financial forms when you receive them, please just let me know and we can make a quick fix and get those right back to you. So Steve, our budget manager, is going to do a quick review on the quarterly reporting form. So I'm going to pass this over to Steve. And if you could all give me 1 minute, because I hope I can do this right. Okay. Oh, did that work?
Yep. Good job, Jenny. I want to say thank you for all you do in making the VAWA program a success. So my name is Steve Dommings, Budget Manager for OGR, and we're going to go over the financial expenditure workbook. So upon opening up the document, you'll be prompted by yellow banners to enable editing and enable content. Since this is a macro-driven workbook, please enable both the editing and content buttons. Now that we're going like more cloud-based servers and people are using the expenditure workbook from the web, we might run into an issue where there's a red banner at the top of the screen. If you do run into this issue, please download the document and save it to a desktop. Right-click Properties, and then be sure to check off the unblock, click Apply, click OK. Reopen the Excel workbook, and if needed, please enable editing and the content. If you have any more issues with opening up the document, enabling macros, pretty much like just trying to get this to work, please reach out to us right away and we can help you out. So the first thing you want to do when you open up the workbook is just go right to your year-to-date breakdown page. You're going to notice your approved budget. For both the cash expenditures and the match expenditures, please make sure that the approved budget is what was on the approved budget that you submitted with the application. The numbers should align with the cost categories. So you have the year-to-date breakdown page, which pretty much outlines everything year-to-date, by quarter, by budget, the total expenditures, plus the remaining balance of your program. You have a budget summary page, which is just like a macro overview of what you spent per quarter. We'll go over that shortly. Then you have the different quarterly tabs, which you will enter the information as you incur expenditures along the way. You also have a reporting period tab, just for reference, just shows that, hey, these are the 4 quarters. Accounts payable is only for state agencies and ISAs. The quarter represents the different reporting period range. Also the due date. So please try the best of your abilities to submit the expenditure workbook 15 days after the reporting period ends. This way we could try to get you your reimbursements as soon as possible. So let's fill out a quarter. So if we go to quarter 1, we're looking at personnel, and for this example, we have an approved budget in the personnel section, fringe, indirect, and equipment. but we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna stop filling out personnel. So remember, since this is a macro driven document, we have these cool little command buttons that we can add rows, remove rows by just clicking the button here. But this is where you enter the information. So say personnel, employee one, just list the employee name, the pay rate, the amount of hours that employee worked, and just provide a description of the duties that were performed by that employee. So some subrecipients will be required to fill out a match. Others wouldn't be. That should already been clear when you filled out the budgets. But in order to make this all work, for example, let's just say if this starts off blank, you're gonna have to fill out these documents, these input variables. So say if the pay rate is $50 for that employee, you'll notice that if you don't enter anything in quantity, there's not gonna be anything populating for total expenditures. So in order for this line item to populate, you need both column B and column C to be filled up. So upon entering 60 hours, we have $3,000 for the total expenditures. 50 times 60, $3,000. Now, say if you are one of those subrecipients that need to fill out match, just note that $3,000 is the total max that's going to be for that line item. So you can't enter a match that is greater than $3,000 because you're telling us that that line item, the max that line item could be is $3,000. So you could always enter a match up to $3,000, but you can't go above that. And that's how you'd enter it. You just go to this match column in column F, enter the match, what's coming out of your organization's pocket, and then you go from there. So same thing, you'd fill out employee 2, employee 3, so on and so on. Then usually with personnel, you have fringe that correlates with it. Now, in this situation, we take the same employees that were listed in personnel. We use the amount that's listed as total expenditures there. And then we list the contract fringe rate. So if the fringe rates that you're trying to use aren't consistent with the approved budget, please provide a breakdown here. Everything should tie back and be in somewhat correlation with one another. So this is a situation where, let's say it didn't tie back, but we use a fringe rate of 18%. So we said health insurance 10%, 7% for retirement, 1% for terminal leave. So on and so on. We still include the match if we are coming out of pocket for that certain line item. Indirect, another cost category. So we want to use an indirect rate that is consistent with the approved budget. Also, we want to use expenses that are applicable for that indirect cost rate. And then just for this example, we also have equipment, laptops. So let's just say we purchase 2 laptops, $750, and just give a brief description of what they go for, and that's that. Now, just please keep in mind that the expenditures that you report here should match to what's on your books. This should be a reimbursement program, so we shouldn't say, hey, I'm listing $5,000 for reimbursement if it hasn't hit your books yet, or if you haven't incurred any cash outflows. So it should be real time. For state agencies, when you enter the cash expenditures here, or whatever you entered here, it should be based off of the acceptance date, cash expenses acceptance date on the central expense query. That's very important. And the acceptance date should line up with the reporting periods, date ranges. Now, we should notice that whenever we do enter information here, everything will pop up on the year-to-date breakdown page. And as you're entering line items, more and more information will pop up. And then as the year goes on, you'll see the remaining balance for each cost category. Now, let's try to go into Q2, just so you can see it real time. You see that there's nothing here entered for Q2, but we're going to go in and do something for personnel. As you see, 540, 540. If you go to this year-to-date breakdown page, it'll be $540 here. But as you enter in match, all of a sudden, what you're requesting, the cash expenditures, that's what you're requesting for reimbursement. The $290 will now be reflected on the year-to-date breakdown page. Same thing with match. Now that we enter the match at 250, that's going to be reflected as well. Now let's just say if we're like halfway through the program and we realize that we want to reallocate some funds from one cost category to another, please be sure to reach out to the program manager prior to just spending money on an unapproved cost category. Make sure that it gets approved via a budget modification form, and then you can start spending on here. When you do get the new budget approved, please reach out to us, send over the Excel workbook. This way we can modify your approved budget here. If not, let's just say if you want to spend money on overtime, yeah, $500 here for overtime. It's going to pop up red. That's going to indicate that, hey, you're spending outside an approved cost category, or B, we just didn't modify the expenditure workbook yet. Now, we're trying to make this like a one-stop shop here. And in terms of, how you sign off on the document, there's a couple different ways that Jenny noted earlier. So you could do the original like wet signature where you print out the document, and then you just like pretty much sign off on it, scan it back to us. Or you could go over to this budget summary page. Say if you're reporting out of quarter one, use this drop down right here. Click quarter one, all of the totals will populate, and then you go to this completed by signature page. Up at top, you have the insert, shapes, and then under lines, there's this little free-form scribble. This will allow you to use a mouse to actually sign off on it. It's a little hard, for me at least, but it gets the job done. That's my best. But from there, what I would do is go back to quarter one, you hit print PDF. And what this print PDF button does is it combines your year-to-date breakdown sheet, your budget summary sheet, and the quarter that you're reporting out of, all into one document. Now, it is updated with this little free-form scribble signature right here. Also, please keep in mind that a copy of this PDF will be saved to your desktop, in addition to the workbook. And let's just say that you don't want to use a free-form scribble. You could always just go to, let's just say quarter two, print PDF. And because now we're doing this real time, real quick, this signature, it only populated because we didn't remove it for the last time, but it would be blank. What you would do is just pretty much print this out or use Adobe Sign, DocuSign. You could use the electronic signature, a wet signature, just stamp it right here and scan it along to us. Now, there are times where there might not be any cash expenditures being reported for that period. So if that's the case, let's just say quarter three, you just go to quarter three, we're not spending anything, and cell B6, just say yes. And then should say if this wasn't here, we'll remove this. You see how the budget summary shows quarter two? Now, if you click print PDF, you have the year-to-date. But now you see on the PDF, it automatically changed over to quarter three. And then there's a little statement stating that there was $0 expended in the reporting period. You sign off and yeah, save it, send it to us. In addition, we actually do recommend you guys sending over the Excel workbook itself upon every submission. This way we have that on file. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Just definitely remember when filling it out that both column B and column C have to be filled in order for anything to populate around here. All right, Jenny, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Sorry about that. Thank you, Steve. So just to kind of piggyback, oops, excuse me, off of Steve's presentation, in regards to any changes or modifications to the budget, we have a new form this year for grant award modifications. And as Steve said, just please send that in prior to any changes being made to the budget. Anything over 10% would require a budget amendment, excuse me, a budget modification. So any budget amendments over 10%, we would need this form sent in. And again, I'll be sending that form out this week with all your other documentation. Any scope of work changes need to be submitted, and we're going to have personnel changes listed as well on this year's form. We haven't done that in the past. So any personnel changes of individuals working on the grant or an authorized signatory only. Doesn't have to be anyone else other than those employees. So quarterly reporting FAQs. You can just skim through these. The one I wanted to point out was in regards to gift cards. Some of our organizations have prior approval or have requested prior approval to purchase gift cards for victims. And we're going to need some further backup documentation for those cards that are distributed. We need the number of cards, the denominations of the gift cards must be provided, and how they're tracked within your agency. We will not be allowing any type of fast food restaurant gift cards, or any restaurants, I should say, gift cards this year. So if you have questions on that, if your agency is one of these agencies who are purchasing gift cards, just please reach out to me. And we can discuss that further. Okay, so I know there's a lot of reporting requirements, but this is our subgrantee report. This happens once a year. It's actually due on March 30th. So those of you who are prior subrecipients know that this week I had asked you all to fill out these subgrantee reports. I had them, those were due last Friday for those who are prior subrecipients. And if you haven't sent them in, if you could get those into us as soon as possible. It's a federally required report that is submitted to the Office of Violence Against Women. And the information is gathered from these reports, and it's shared with it's included in the Attorney General's annual report and to Congress about the Massachusetts Stop VAWA program. I'll have more information about this when the time comes to report, but I usually send out a notification in late January, sometimes early February. And the form is self-explanatory, but again, any questions, we can review those in the at that time in the future. So if you haven't sent in your subgrantee report to those who are prior grantees, please send that in to me by the end of today or tomorrow. Okay, so site visits. I always say to people when you see the word site visits not to panic. But over the next 4 years, we're going to have to come out to, we're gonna have to review all projects, and they'll be subject to a site visit by myself or someone else at OGR. Right, we're starting to tentatively schedule beginning in late spring, and then throughout the whole summer. We will send a preparation packet out, so you'll be ready and, you'll be prepared on what we're going to be talking to you about. But they're actually a really good thing to do. It's nice to come out and meet with you all and see the good work that you're doing. And it's also nice for us to put a name with a face. And so sometimes, they actually are, they really are, a good thing to do. And it helps us as well, just to understand exactly what's going on throughout the Commonwealth. So those will be coming along, but as it says here, it's going to be over the next 4 years. So I'm not really sure of who we're going to start with, but I'll be notifying you but via email. So this is just our contact information, and throughout the year, I'll be providing more information regarding the VAWA Stop program. And I'm really excited to work with you all again and to work with all of the new programs. A couple of things came up in the chat. One of them was in regards to this PowerPoint presentation. We will have this available on our website, and I will send you the link as soon as I get it on the website. I'll send it out to everybody. If you don't receive that from me, please just reach out, or you can check our website. But yeah, so it should be up there, hopefully within the next 24 hours. And again, this is being recorded, so if you want to get a copy of that, we'd be happy to share that with you as well. So I don't know if there's, I'm going to check the chat real quick. You could just give me 1 minute. Okay, I don't see anything in the chat that needs to be answered. So if everyone's all set, that's going to conclude our program. I wanted to say thank you to Erin, our interpreter. Thank you for joining us. And please reach out to me with any questions or concerns, and I'll get back to you. And again, I look forward to working with all of you. And I hope you all have a great day. Thank you so much.